Netflix has officially announced that they're acquiring Warner Bros., and this is huge news, big enough that I had to make a video about it. This move alone is going to change a lot in the global entertainment industry, so don't worry, a businessman is here to explain the deal. What happened, how much it cost, what the effects might be, and my opinion. First off, there were rumors that the current CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery, Jason Lowe's, was appointed just so he could come into the company. Look, improve what needs to be fixed. I did this because Warner had a lot of debt. They were heavily in the red. There was a merger with Discovery, a big company, but the debt remained. Debt remained. So, the speculation was that their CEO would split the profitable part of the business into a separate company, and the parts that weren't doing well, the big chunk of debt, would go into another company. Basically, they'd create two companies, a good one and a bad one. Then they'd sell off the good one to get as much as possible. You can try to withdraw the money, but what will happen to the bad guy? This is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as absolute truth. I could be wrong. But in a few years, you'll hear news that bankruptcy has been declared and we're all broke. This happens, man. It's genius business. And what I just told you is that the mission for which the current CEO was appointed is almost complete. When Netflix announced that they were acquiring Warner Bros., the fine print of the deal showed they're not actually buying the whole company. Like I said before, Warner Bros. Movie division, along with HBO, the whole TV channel section, and the HBO Max streaming platform. They're all bundling together to sell to Netflix. The rest, like the Discovery part, the TV channels, and the news channels, will stay with another company. If you're shocked hearing this, don't be, because this isn't the first time in history something like this has happened. Warner Bros., throughout its entire lifetime, has gone through at least 4 or 5 major mergers or acquisitions. It's a mistake. If you watched Harry Potter movies back then, you'd know the name Warner Bros. It was with a different company. Then AT&T, a telecom company, got involved. So yeah, things keep happening. Now, about this news. If you saw that single photo with just one number, actually, there are 2 numbers floating around. Some say it was bought for $72 billion. Others say $83 billion. So the first thing is, Netflix is acquiring Warner Bros. Here. It's not a merger. Merger. There are 2 companies, and a third big company is forming like Warner Bros. And Dovey did. Here, Netflix is a bigger company, and it's acquiring Warner Bros. Basically, it's buying it. How will it buy? If you had Warner Bros. Shares, Netflix would give you $27 for each share, and because of that, the total value comes to $72 billion. They'd pay you $27 in cash per share, and also give you Netflix stock worth about $4 each. But in some places, the valuation is quoted as $83 billion, which is basically what I mentioned earlier. They're in debt, so the debt of Warner Bros. And the obligations of others are also being taken together because the whole company is coming over, and now that will become Netflix's liability as well. That's why those amounts are being added. So, the total comes to $83 billion. Dude, this is huge news. When Disney acquired Fox, the number was around $72 billion if I remember correctly. And if some of you still think this is fake, Netflix sent an official email with a blue check confirming that yes, they are acquiring it. So that's the money part sorted. Now, what's the effect going to be? How many things will change? So, first of all the Warner Bros. Media slate, all their big franchises are now going to come under Netflix. Talking about big names, the first and foremost is literally the DC universe. They can't really get a break now. Just when it seemed like things were finally on track, the whole company got sold. And after buying it, what Netflix will do with it, we don't know. Will they bring Jack back? Will they kick James Gunn out? The whole script, their entire story, it's all uncertain. They're gonna say it's a line change, we don't know. At this point, anything is possible. Anything. After the DC universe, the Harry Potter franchise is also under them now. They were planning to release its web series. All the content you watch like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and everything from HBO, bro, all of it. Some movies you were excited about for next year or the year after like Dune 3, Batman 2, all under Netflix. So, those of us who follow this and know about it were hoping that if Netflix took over, all their movies would come out on Ata. They said they'll release it. Not sure if it'll actually come to theaters. I'll have to watch Dune 2 on my phone. So, officially, they've said they won't be releasing these movies in theaters. That's what Netflix is saying. How long this will go on? We don't know. Netflix's CEO gave a statement saying they have an issue with how long these movies run exclusively in theaters. That's a bit of a problem for them. the window might get shorter. To put it simply, Netflix and Warner Bros. There are companies that release movies in theaters. These two are basically competitors, bro. The hardcore rivals like PVR aren't fighting this much in India just because if you release your movie in theaters and then put it on OTT within 3 months, and if you've signed a contract like that, they won't even screen your movie in PVR. Why? Because they know if movies come on OTT in 1 month, a week, or 40 days, no one will come to theaters to watch them. People would rather just wait, and this started happening after COVID, bro. Got it. Movies were coming out every month, but all this strict action was from the theater owners. Now the window period was getting longer, 2 months, 3 months, even 4 months before movies would come to OTT, and that's not good for Netflix. They're doing well with their originals, but if you notice, most of Netflix's big franchises are almost all gone. Now they need IPs, and those IPs are with Warner Bros. So, whatever they're saying now, from a business perspective, this makes the most sense. Basically, they either release everything online, or if they do put it in theaters, it's just for a super short run. Like, if you really want to watch it on the big screen, you can go see it after a week or so. They do this with some of their original movies. For example, the Night Out franchise had its movie out in theaters, but pulled it within a week. Frankenstein also had a very limited run, and that was only in the US. Maybe it released in a few other countries, but I'm not exactly sure. It definitely didn't come to India. They did it mainly to qualify for the Oscars. They give it for 1 week at a time. Tapel annexes as partig the canspas. So yeah, in my personal opinion, the Warner Bros. Movies they're releasing in theaters now probably won't run that long, even if it's just for the short term. If you look 4 or 5 years from now, the whole scenario will have changed a lot. The same thing is going to happen with HBO Max. It's a competing OTT platform, and they're not going to shut it down right away. They'll slowly start bringing its content over to their side if they need to, and that actually makes sense for them to do it gradually. Now, there's one more important thing about this deal. It's not finalized yet. They haven't acquired it. The whole process will take about 18 months. They've just announced that both companies are ready to do this. Now they'll have to get permission from the shareholders to see if they can go ahead, which they should. But the biggest hurdle, personally, I think, is that this deal might not get government clearance. Because if you don't know, in the bidding war with Netflix, they were actually competing against another studio, Paramount Skydance. I'm hearing that these two were the final contenders, and Netflix ended up winning. But why is this important? Because the CEO of that company is Larry Ellison's son. Who's Larry Ellison? He's the owner of Oracle. Oracle's value has shot up a lot because of AI and stuff. They're making huge deals. They're a rival company. Remember I said Paramount Skydance? The CEO's dad is literally one of the top 3 richest people in the world. He was even #1 for a while, beating Elon, beating Musk. But honestly, his real power is way beyond that, bro. Because he's super close to Donald Trump. Actually, people were saying that Trump himself personally wants his company to take over Warner Bros., not Netflix. So, bro, when the president of your country is biased and pushing his own opinion about whether this company should be bought or not, no one knows if the government will approve it or not. There's a real chance that later on, it might turn out that the deal is canceled If you're a DC fan, I think you should be a bit happy because if Paramount had taken over, they would have definitely fired James Gunn. The views and all don't even clash, they're on completely opposite sides. That's just my opinion. Whatever happens, we'll find out slowly. Like I said, this whole process could take anywhere from 12 to 18 months. Even if everything gets approved or completed, some things won't change from day one. Netflix will also gradually take full control. They'll change the name, the OTT platform, the movies. We need to make some changes. There's time for that. So yeah, most likely there won't be any changes to Batman 2. James Gunn's immediate projects for the next 1.5 to 2 years won't be affected. But beyond that, there are no guarantees, man. Before I go, let me drop some wisdom from a business perspective. At the most basic level, good movies equal more money. Warner Bros. And all the production houses in India that release movies in theaters follow this simple equation. Good. Make a movie. People will buy tickets by paying money, and you'll earn more. Now, if you add a few more elements, things get complicated, like marketing the movie, adding a big star. The movie gets a big opening in the first 3 days, but even if the movie isn't great, or just okay, or a bit bad, the fandom will still bring in money. But you basically know the equation, right? That's how the theater business works. Now, what about Netflix? If you haven't thought about it, at the core, at the most basic level, that's their business. Bro, this equation doesn't depend on that. Netflix makes money based on how many people are talking about you. Scratch that too. People should only have one perception in their mind, the value perception. That yeah, if in paying $500 a month for Netflix, it's worth it. Here, you're not buying a ticket to watch just one movie. You're paying for the entire catalog for the whole month. More good movies don't mean more money. That doesn't apply here. Good perception equals more money. This applies. Why the hell is Battle explaining all this? Because it changes things so much. I'm gonna exaggerate a bit to make the point. But since the equation has changed now, even if Netflix hypothetically doesn't make good movies, or doesn't make any movies for months or even a year, they'll still make money. Why? Because even if they're making bad movies, like people keep complaining about, Netflix subscriptions are still selling. Oh, it's so bad. Fine, let's just watch it. What's the harm? $500 for the whole month, I'll just watch whatever's there. Like I said, Warner Bros. Is bringing back their entire old catalog, movies that are already made, so you don't have to spend anything extra. You just have to store them and deliver them to people. Just by seeing their faces, you'd happily pay $500. Even if they stop making new movies today, you'd still pay them because their old titles are that good. That's why you've probably seen a lot of people complaining about the kind of movies they're making now, like Here and There. There was even news about a mandate saying that they want you to put whatever the character is saying in your movie as dialogue, so people just treat it like background noise and keep hearing it in their heads like, oh, so this guy's doing this and that, without really paying attention. Movies are being dumbed down. Because again, their masterpiece won't sell. Their business is all about perception, that if your movie looks like it's worth 500 rupees, then they'll make that money, even if it's blind money. If you don't get what I'm saying, then just wait a little bit. I would say that 3-4 years after this deal is done, you'll start seeing the effects of it. Right now, it's 2025, so check back in 2030. Look again in 2030-31, and remember, yeah, Brooklyn said something about this. The result will show that the Warner bus, which kind of made some sense back then, mostly feels like it was just background noise. That's my take on it. If you like this, definitely hit the like button. Subscribing would be awesome too. Businessman doing business stuff. See you in the next video, me. Bye. Bye.